is a business owner and also a former high school teacher, okay? Worked in corporate America. He has a lot of experience. Eric, good day, welcome.
He's also a Christian, and I'll be keeping that in mind as I go along in this video.
Thanks for having me.
Man, let's talk about your belief as it relates to mask and mask mandates. I don't want to presume what you know or believe about it. So if you would, give us some of your sentiment as it relates to mask mandates, in particular in school systems.
Sure. I believe everybody should be able to do what they feel comfortable doing. Do I feel mandates?
You mean if students and staff are comfortable protecting others, as they may be infected with a potentially deadly virus? How is this about anybody's comfort? Would you or anybody else be comfortable in a hospital if COVID harshly affects you?
Are appropriate? I don't. I think mandates are.
I don't think COVID cares about what you think is whatever necessary, whatever you said there. I mean, how is this about you? How is this about, this is about everybody.
Too much government control. I think if parents and...
Too much government control. Now, I mean, the government is controlling where the pandemic is. Would these mandates be necessary if people were responsible and cooperated from the start? What if everybody wore a mask whenever out of your house, and if everybody went out only when necessary, and we got this pandemic eradicated or stopped within months? And
students want to wear masks? Absolutely. I don't believe that it should be mandatory that every child and every teacher...
You do believe Christianity is the truth, though. And with that said, what if God made us invulnerable, immortal, and perfect, and either made us invulnerable to these viruses, germs, whatever, or they simply didn't exist? What then? Now you might say that, well, that's our fault because of Adam and Eve, they disobeyed God. Well, if that's the case, then you've thrown God out of the equation, because what does any of this have to do with God?
Wears a mask.
Let me ask you this, because you are a former school teacher. I'm also a former high school teacher myself. There are many mandates of school children for virtually all of public education and 92% of private education. There's a mandate for certain vaccinations. You know this as a former high school teacher.
Absolutely.
Those mandates include diphtheria, tetanus, measles, mumps, polio, chickenpox, and a few others, right?
Sure.
Those mandates have been there for a long time. Do you consider those to be government intrusive?
So I think there's a difference, because
intrusive. Well, the thing is, again, I mean, I said before, the government, what does he say there? Oh yeah, the government is controlling. Well, the government is controlling, or the pandemic is, because the pandemic will infect anybody who tries to practice their rights, or liberties, or freedoms, whatever you want to call them. So I don't see how that the government is intrusive, especially when you people don't want to cooperate. And you don't want to wear your mask or get the vaccine. You don't want to take any kind of precautions. It's so ridiculous.
There isn't a mandate for flu vaccines. And there's plenty of studies out, and even a couple of came out in the last 2 days, that have basically
You're
said
not even
that
answering
the current
question.
vaccines do not prevent the spread of the COVID virus.
But
So
masks
again,
do.
Wait, what do you say there?
Studies out, and even a couple of came out in the last 2 days, that have basically said that the current vaccines do not prevent the spread of the COVID virus.
The purpose of the vaccine is to help oneself in case of infection, to minimize the symptoms of the virus or the infection. while it's also to cut the risk of potential death, which is the worst case scenario for COVID. Not necessarily to help stop the spread of the virus. So to lay it out to you in simple terms, the purpose of the mask is to help protect other people from infection, while the vaccine is to help with the infection. Damn it, you are stupid.
But masks do.
Doesn't prevent the spread. It may reduce it a little bit. It doesn't.
No, sir. Not
I mean, you don't. Again, you don't even answer the
on.
question.
It actually reduces it by 40 to 60% based on studies from medical reports.
Well, when you look at the certain masks.
Well, Rashad says it does reduce it, and I'm more inclined to trust his word over his. But I still say the vaccine is more for personal, while the mask is for everybody else, to protect everybody else from being infected.
Students don't wear masks the way they're supposed to be worn, and you know that as well. Cloth masks are worn all up and down.
Well, you know what? Maybe if we were still in lockdown as we should be, while we're still in the state of a pandemic emergency, nobody would be in school right now. They'd be getting, what is it, internet, the Zoom thing. They'd be at home having virtual classes, which wouldn't be a problem because the parents would also be at home because we're on lockdown, but we're not doing that, are we? So that's not even a valid argument.
You also have cloth masks with the young kids that are sneezing into them, they're coughing into them, they're dropping them, and they're putting them back on their face.
Well, there's a solution to that shit. I mean, that's going to happen because they're kids, they don't really know any better, particularly the younger ones. But I've had allergy problems all my life, and I always had I usually had a package of those small packets of Kleenexes. Now those were sometimes not enough, but the way around that is to give every student a pack of X number of masks so they can put a fresh one on and throw the other one out. That's how you deal with that shit. Now they're dropping them on the ground. Well, teach them not to do that. Simple. They're at school to learn after all. You're just grasping at straws at this point to defend your position that these mask mandates and vaccines are bullshit. You're full of shit.
So if we were really concerned about the spreading of a flu-like virus, why don't we have masks all the time, even before COVID?
Oh, this guy is such a fucking dumbass. Okay, Rashad has mentioned that getting vaccines for other things, other illnesses, are required to get into school, while Howard Stern has also recently mentioned the same thing about broadcasting. Now, my question for Eric, this fucking genius over here, what would you do if mask wearing was a lifelong obligation from the point of birth? What would you do about that if it was?